I start, I think, from this side over here.
You're familiar with giving presentations at the FIGU. Do you have any advice how someone who is not giving presentations to their fellow humans can arrange this without being in FIGU to bring ideas to people that they can use to prepare themselves similarly to how we will do?
Yeah, as I said, everything starts from small to bigger, and I think to start with is writing articles. Writing articles about a field of interest gives you the occasion to think about it. You have to write it so the reader understands what you are conveying, and regarding the spiritual teaching, you don't start giving lectures from the beginning. This is a longer process. You are writing a lot of articles, and then you make, perhaps in a small group where you are, you give a presentation, and then you know how it the result, and then you know or realize, oh, this hasn't been as good as I wanted to, and so it's a learning process. And I'm not used to talking in English. Of course, I make my presentations in German. That's more easy also for me and flowing. And so here in English I have to search for words, and now I have not followed my script. I prefer actually not to read down just the script, but during speaking something comes in my mind, and I use this also. And so it's a learning process. There are talents from birth who have a rhetoric brilliance, and so but I'm not this person, so I have to write down in case I don't know what to say. Yeah. Yeah.
Tony, you were closing and you mentioned something about money, and don't be surprised if it overtakes you. I missed the word. It overtakes you like a fast runner. And you continued, and I'm stuck on that one part.
Poverty was what the word, not money.
Huh?
Yeah, because I wrote, don't be surprised. Poverty overtakes you like a fast runner from if you're lazy and idle and...
Aha, yeah, from the Om. You mean from the Om?
Yeah.
The quote from the Om. Yeah. It's a quote from the Om. Yeah. Poverty. Mm-hmm. It means, it's actually summarizing, if you are lazy, don't look into the future, have no food stored, like the ants are doing. They are preserved. They look into the future. They don't know that their winter is coming. They are gathering food, and so the human being should be prepared to what's coming in the future, not just idle around, sitting there and wait for the roasted ducks to fly into their mouths. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Imelda?
My brother and my sister are into FIGU, but I'm just like, I don't know much, although they're trying to tell me to read up. But I just have a question about their planet. Is there only one race on their planet, or are there racial variations like here, where there are different colors and different, like the racial diversity on the planet Earth compared to their planet? Do they talk about anything like that?
Yeah, there's plenty of information. Of course, the universe is so big and so huge. There are countless civilizations on quite a lot of Earth, but of course there are much more planets where no life is. No life exists, of course, but there is a countless number of civilizations and human races, all kinds of shape, and so yeah, and but there are animals. There are planets where only animal life forms are living, no human life forms, or planets where only the small scale bacteria living, depending on the evolutionary development style or situation of the planet. For instance, the Pleiades in our night sky, they are much too young, and there is no life form over there. But there is a huge amount of human beings spread over the universe, and there are also other dimensions, actually 7 dimensions, where other universes like us exist, which are even more, some of them even more civilizations than this one. Yeah, Don?
I think the question was on the Pleiadian planet.
Aha.
Is there other nationalities?
Yeah, the Pleiadian, they have more than one planet. Their populations are growing, are living, and they have different people on their planet also, not just one. Like here on Earth, we have Asia, Africa, and so they also have different populations, yes. But Era, the planet where Ptah and Semias and all these are coming from, the most of these 60 persons with Billy has so far had contacts. These 60 people, most of them are coming from Era. The planet is called Era.
Sorry, you gave some information which we've never heard before, that there's 7 dimensions within this creation.
Yeah, that's rather new information. Rather, like our creation is not the same like the universe. I have to say, because the universe, actually, when we are talking of the universe, that's the 4th belt of the 7 belts of creation. Creation is the whole building, and in the 7th of the spiral egg-like structure is the universe, where all the black holes and the planets and the galaxies and the life forms exist, and actually there are 7 of these universe dimension, and the Pleiadian live in another one, a fraction of a second beyond actually our dimension. So you will never see from our universe, you will never see their planet, because it shifted in time and space.
Is that the Raumzeitgefüge?
Raumzeitgefüge, yes. Mm-hmm. In our Raumzeitgefüge, yes. We are living now, and our ancestors were connected with the Pleiadian, and they moved over to their Raumzeitgefüge, space and time configuration. Yeah.
So, from a Christian point of view, in the beginning was the breath, the word, whatever. It didn't say thought. In the beginning was the thought.
No.
So where is thought coming from then?
Thought.
Thought.
Thinking. Thought.
Thinking is spelled different than thought. I know, I have a copy where thinking comes from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thinking requires a brain, and as long as there is no brain with the capacity to think, then thinking is not possible. This means also that there was a Big Bang at the beginning, and then life formed, plant life first, when there were solid planets cooled down, and then floral life was developing, And from this floral life, then animal life developed, and ultimately from the one-cellers up to human beings, the human beings developed. And there are also some animals that can primitively have thoughts. And they have a brain to think and to learn certain things. But you need consciousness for thinking.
So my question was, where do thoughts start from? I have a map of all those different ones, so I'm looking for...
But I understand thought, you mean thought, thinking.
Because you said the process starts with thought, then it goes into your emotions.
Yeah. Well, with your thinking, you are triggering your feelings. It's not the other way around, because with your thought you produce your feelings, and you also produce what you are doing. All actions are triggered by a thought. I mean, even some psychologists, they know the feeling comes first, but the fact is that we have the unconsciousness, the unconscious part of our consciousness, and this is a fraction of a second. This is kind like a sensor that can trigger feelings even before the thought comes into our conscious awareness. And therefore it's always a thought at the beginning, and then the feelings. But of course, feelings and actions also lead to other thoughts. If you know now, I'm heated, I'm angry, and then you realize if you are working on yourself, I'm getting angry. What's the reason for it? And then you slow down and look at yourself. Why have I become angry? And then you're thinking, and so slowly you get down your feelings again. You go calm because you are get control of your thinking.
So to play out that one question as to when extraterrestrial species come here and they drop off their DNA into the different eggs here, animals and mammals, then they make a hybrid. So where are the Pleiadian hybrids stationed on this Earth? I want to go to that village or those villages.
They don't make hybrids. Pleiadian don't make hybrids. That's not their way of doing things. But their ancestors have made combinations of animal, human form, like a head of a bird and a human body and like this. But these were experiments, but this happened a long time ago. But the Pleiadian don't do any of these experiments. And they have no stations and factories here on the planet where it would be stupid to do this, because...
So they're more or less not in the material world. They're sort of like angels somewhere up there.
Yeah, angels do not exist, but of course in the universe there exist human beings, very light ones, which can fly. This exists in the universe, like there will be human beings with 3 eyes, perhaps 4 eyes, 4 arms, 10 fingers in one hand, and so all kinds. We cannot imagine everything that exists. But no, the Pleiadian are not doing anything like this. They just give information to us, to the Earth, humanity, but they don't interfere. They don't interfere. Yeah.
Good answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's no reason for it, for doing that, because humankind is responsible for everything we do. If you are destroying our planet, it's our fault. you cannot remove false behavior of another person. And the Plejadian cannot take away our idiotic behavior as a humanity to destroying the planet through overpopulation. It's the law of cause and effect. We have to take our fate, which we self-made ourselves, and so probably learn. But history shows that it's a long process before humankind will learn from the false ways we are going into.
To continue the same thought process, is it possible in the ancient time that there were Plejadians that have died on this planet and have chosen to reincarnate on this planet? Is that possible?
Yeah, there have been 8 times actually, there have been emigrations here by bigger groups of over 100,000 groups of people, and some of them have died here, and their spirit forms are bound now here. And actually, science developed because of these individuals with an extraterrestrial spirit forms. It were these people who have brought progress in the last 200 or 300 years. It was these people with extraterrestrial spirit forms that were, until the 90s of the last century, who were received impulses from the Plejadian to speed up progress, because if this wouldn't have been the case, we would still stand perhaps inventing the first motor or automobile. Progress wouldn't have been so fast if they would not have this interaction. And this interaction was necessary because Billy's mission. It was very important that the internet is developed, so this time he can write his books unchanged in original form and spread over the world. All the old prophets could not do this because, on the one hand, the majority of the people could not read, they could not understand what the prophet said, they misunderstood most of that. If you imagine, when Billy spoke about Arat or something like this with his disciples, in his 17 disciples, there were 17 women and 12 men in his time. He had no word for consciousness, for subconsciousness. All he could say is spirit. Spirit covered everything that we are now able to specify and explain. We can talk, this is the central consciousness, this is the spiritual consciousness, spiritual unconsciousness, the material consciousness and unconsciousness. All these factors, we can talk about the psyche, about thoughts. Feelings, not a word for feeling did not exist, or emotion, the difference between feelings and emotion, he could not explain. And then all these disciples, just one could write of them, the author of the Talmud Immanuel, all the other ones he heard. They were not all the time together with Immanuel, sometimes these couple of persons, then other ones. They had a very limited information body of information available, problems to understand, and they were saying it to scribes who wrote down, and these scribes made what they understood. It's just telling others, and the other person recalls everything to another person, and so the falsification of Christianity was really occurring at its beginning. The first 100 years, everything went into falseness, actually. Yeah.
So when did Billy's spirit form actually first come to this planet?
This planet, at least 389,000 years ago, I think.
And he stayed? The spirit form?
And it stayed, perhaps not the whole, no, not sure all the time, but he returned as a human being and died here again. I cannot surely assure you that he stayed all the time here. It could have been that he, in the meantime, he was another planet on the Pleiaren, and then flew back with another group that came here and then died.
Mm-hmm. So the last time that his spirit form would have come here would have been, you know, the most recent time?
Yeah, certainly 13,500 years about this, but has been in between to the 389,000 years. I have no information.
Oh, so I see. So 389,000 years ago was the first time that he came here in spirit form, and then as Sannyasa, I think that's.
Yeah, and then in the meantime, there we have no information, but I could very well be that he went with the back and then had another mission to complete now for the last time on this planet, yes.
And then the last time was 13,500.
Yeah, around this time, yes.
That the spirit form came back.
That the person with the spirit form within enlivening him came back to Earth and died here, and is bound, of course. Yeah.
The different races we have on this Earth, did they come from other planets?
Yeah, the Chinese and Japanese, yes, for instance, are coming here, and some parts of the white race also, and some black. There were also some black people coming to Earth, and it's called also the red people. And so there were different locations. There were extraterrestrial coming to Earth, and then interbreeding, intermingling with human beings from Earth. Yeah, but
So they did not all develop here.
the majority, of course, from these 8.9 billion today, the majority is originating here, and about 500,000, if I remember correctly, about 500,000 have an extraterrestrial origin. Or there were also some people coming from Mars and from Malone. Malone was destroyed, and the asteroid belt was the result of it, and so there were refugees also from these two planets to Earth also.
So those would be in addition to the 500,000, would they?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Christian, this is only, I want to apologize for Peter. My question is something
Sorry.
who was here earlier.
You are. What are you doing for him?
I just met him outside. I invited him in.
So yeah.
My question, 2.7 seconds, I haven't really read it. That was it. Initially my question.
Yeah, 2.7 seconds is the duration of present time. That's an information from Sept.
Do you guys daily whether 200 years back, are we 200 years behind in our evolution where we should be? Is that's a word? Because I've dealt with a lot of people. I've done almost 20 years in the military reserve. I was a teacher, and it seems like a good number to me. That's where it was. But, in 200 years, we need to advance.
Mhm.
We're that far behind.
Also, we terrestrial population made or not all of the whole population of this planet. The progress was mainly technically, actually the mental or consciousness-based evolution. It's delaying, way behind the technical development and progress. But I'm not sure if you are you asking like something like this? Is your question?
To me, the number is 200. I can't. In our culture, pop culture, North American culture, TV, movies, westerns, news, everything backwards disappears after a couple hundred years.
You mean the duration of the present time?
So that number in my mind.
No, that's not. Present is the duration of your becoming aware of something, realizing it. This is actually this is Durchschnitt. It's an average. Some people need more, some people need less, but this is the average time of the present time.
I think everything, the real question is, everything has happened in the past 200 years. So I think that big block of advancement is how far retarded the planetary civilization is.
Yeah, but you mean another present time, you mean present historical time.
More like when you want to talk to someone and start a conversation and say, what do you looking for a job, sports accident, all these things, they kind of go back and back, they tend to stop.
But it's not like this. There is the past. Past is everything that has happened. Future is everything that has not happened. And in between, there's the point where your attention, your awareness, you are living actually into the future out of the past. It's like a waterfall flowing down. Over there comes the future to you, and beneath is the past. And the waterfall, the height of the waterfall is 2.7 seconds, actually. And this has to do with thinking, with being aware, and not with today. You could say today is the present time. This is another thing. That's just one day, and it's not the same like the real present time. The real present time, actually, it's something like if there were no human beings, there would be no present, no past, because the animals. You need to have thinking capacity to realize that. I have here the original. It's in German. I have to translate, and they were talking about the present, and Svat said regarding the Earth, it is to say that the present on the surface of the Earth's surface, according to terrestrial time determination, Zeitbestimmung, was exactly 2.67778 seconds. It's the duration between the past and the future, whereby this time of the present, this present time has to be calculated according to that time duration, while in the normal case, the human brain is capable to start a conscious concentration regarding some topic. This time of building up the concentration is changing depending on the mental development of the person, of the terrestrial person, just as also this duration of the point 2.67778 is also changing depending on the downfall of material from space onto the Earth, because if there is more and more material coming on the Earth's surface, this has to do with this, then also this value is changing. And so this changes the gravitational force, and through the collision with meteorites and the fine matter coming down from space, the Earth becomes heavier and heavier all the time, and each year about thousands of tons. This means also that the present time is depending on the gravity of the planet. And from this you can realize that there are all kinds of interdependencies that we do not yet know on this planet. But actually, this is also an information that we just can take notice that this information exists, but actually doesn't help us much in a way in our life. But we know, if you want to know our thinking processes, then we have to consider, and we can observe ourselves. If we hear something, how long do we react? How long do we need to think, with our thinking, react to an information that's coming us? And then we can realize, I am a slow thinker and I am a fast thinker. And so then you see, within yourself, your present is shorter or it's longer than the average value actually. And here I see in my notes, I see there are from all these Pleiadian ancestors that came to Earth between 2 million years ago and about 389,000 and later. These were a total of 1,151,882 persons, human beings, that came here. And from these, all of these, about half of it remained here. That means that they died here. This means that from their ancestors, 575,000 spirit forms are bound to this planet, and about half of these are incarnated now. And you should also know that some of these extraterrestrials that came here were criminals. They were not all benign human beings, because they had the choice to come here and help here or go to prison. And some were idealists, and so you have you should not put all these extraterrestrial originating people on a pedestal. And this is also something that actually it's not important, because you yourself, what really matters is what all of us here as individuals are making from our life. That's the crucial and important thing what we are doing here, that we are taking our consequences, because it depends, as I repeat myself, it depends really on the individuals, that something is happening and changing for the better.
You yourself are using your consciousness and your spirit to tap into the teaching spirit?
My spirit form is, I know that I have one. I don't think about its origin. I just live my life and learn. And so I have some information received about a former personality, and it's just a name, I don't remember, and so it's actually it's useless to think about the past, because I'm living now, I have no memory, conscious memory about past lives, and so I'm doing what I can.
So your spirit's very in tune with
My spirit form is what it is. I have a spirit form, so I'm alive, because if the battery is gone, the spirit form is the battery, then I fall down here, and could be in the next second that I'm dying, could be.
Well, you have the camera, so if you're gone,
Then this would be interesting, then it will surely be soon on Facebook, and yeah, just on Facebook, but not on TV. I said,
how is the mission going right now, and what can we expect in the near future?
The mission is going on quite not bad. I have another number. Perhaps I don't remember where I told all this already. I have a look here. Because just recently we got an information. I think that from May of this year, 29th of May this year, the Pleiaren did they analyzing quite a lot more than we know, and obviously upon Billy's question, they made an analysis of how many people are doing the peace meditation on this planet. Not every time, not all of them, but they are endeavoring or struggling to perform the peace meditation. These are 37,486 persons already, but compared, of course, with the 8.9 billion people, it's a small number. But you see, it has been started in 1975 with a couple of human beings in Switzerland, in Hinwil, and now it's growing. And also this number, I think it has been published, I think, in the conduct report, the block 15 in October 2016, 2 years ago, there were 21,461 persons in 116 countries who were decided on are living for implementing spiritual teaching into their lives. So it's growing slowly, like the core group. We are also growing very, very slowly. It's a slow process, and the future, but the future is, I think, it's a snowball, a very long time of snowball growing bigger, hundreds of years, because the religious forces are so strong, and enslave the human beings.
Getting back to what you said about the length of the present moment, I did a short calculation on my phone after you said that it was 2.7 seconds, and I calculated that gives about 16,000 present instances in a single day. To try to make that knowledge more useful for myself, do subconscious attention bring or thinking something out subconsciously or unconsciously, such as when digesting something of the spiritual teaching, does this follow that same time span? If the thought takes 2.7 seconds, does that also include all of the subconscious?
No.
And the unconscious one?
No, you cannot use this studying spiritual teaching is another process. It means thinking, it's many thoughts, pondering. It has nothing to do with the present. It's just because the present it's like a river, it flows all the time. It's a flow. You cannot say here is the middle of the stream, because everything, it's a flow of things. And learning and studying spiritual teaching is a process. So you have one result after the other, one realization. You have a realization, then you study more, and then you can connect this realization, this product, this result with another one. You can combine. Then you build. On this you build other realizations, other learning factors, and so it's a never-ending process. But of course, the present has to do. You learn in the present. The thought comes to your awareness from within, from the subconsciousness. Then you think, but there's always the next comes, and so it's a flow of your thinking. It's not you cannot use this for the results. It's just like in this, if you type in the computer, you have the screen there. At one instance, there is this letter. Then you're writing. There is another letter. All the time, the picture is growing. It's growing. While you write, you are in the present. When you hit the key, then it's the present, and then this is gone, then comes the next letter. And so that's an analogy. Perhaps that could be helpful.
The speed of the computer, if the computer is running fast, it will appear quickly.
Yeah, but this is, you cannot take this so specifically. You can type faster, or not so fast, and then this is the analogy, but not the what's behind, what's down there in the machine. That's another thing. In this analogy, of course, in the computer, it's important that the speed of the processors.
If this then, you said as well that the speed is determined by weight of the various factors. If a human manages to lengthen their body, can this shorten this length of time?
This has to do with the gravity of the planet and not with the human being. Yeah, and I think this is also, I think it doesn't make sense to go into this detail because since we don't have the knowledge, the detail about this, we cannot calculate it, and so it makes no sense to go into details about this. That the message actually is, I was of the opinion for a long time that actually the present doesn't exist. Actually, future falls without any time into the past. This was my opinion, and so now I learn, no, there's a tiny fraction of time where this mythical present happens. And it has to do with our consciousness. You need a consciousness for the present. If there is no thinking entity around on a planet, you have no present. Yeah?
So that would be a stop gap to stop the past from continuing and stop going too far in the future. You would say stop, take a breath, be present, and you would move either back into the past where you've been fumbling, or you would move into the future. But the second question is, when they get those electrodes to put on your brain, to sense what processing you're doing and where you're doing it, we have more of those. A person could see whether they're using their forebrain and that we're up in the conscious spiritual area to begin with. And when
the question, the concrete question is?
Well, I just what those electrodes they put 50 of those on your head to see where you're processing.
Yeah, they just show which parts of your brain are having some special process going on. It's a electrochemical processes are constantly going on, and you're thinking, concentrated of thinking, then the energy is higher than in your sleep, for instance, depending on the state, or if you just lay here and let your thoughts flow, and so then you need less energy. But this is just making visible on a screen the activities of your brain.
Yes, and Michael Persing said, well, there was an area that would deal with the spirit.
Yeah, and then of course you can, science is progressing, and sometime in the future you can say, if there is the signal coming from here, it has to do with this kind, can be an emotion, or it can be fear, something like this. And ultimately, sometime in the future, scientists will find out, can visualize thinking processes. They can transform these occurrences here into screens.
So I guess I'm looking for the Billy Meier spot up here somewhere.
The pineal gland has to do with pineal gland has to do with so-called extrasensory perceptions, or so, with kind of more consciousness-based capabilities. But there is a long way to go for terrestrial human beings. We will not experience the results of these research results in our lifetime. We are always on the edge. Science is always on the edge, because it will never end. Science doesn't end. As long as human beings exist on this planet or anywhere else, there will be more to know and to learn. There's no end for this.
You're talking about being prepared and learning how to live without electricity and stuff like that, food storing, etc. I guess in the future, coming future, there are a lot of hard times that can't be avoided now when it comes to safe environment and all these things. We've already done enough damage, and so we have to expect to have these hard times coming.
The hard times will come, it's sure, it's certain. The hard times will come, much grief will come, and the chance is growing each year that there will be a massive occurrence where a great part of the population will die, because it cannot go on endlessly with overbreeding. This must happen, must stop somehow and in some time. But of course not if there are human beings who are acting against this and lead another life and think differently and doing the peace meditation and give a counterweight to religion and so on. There will be survivors, because as we know in a prediction that far away in the future there will be a return to the better, to be the better. But this will only occur if we human beings, if there are human beings on this world who give counteraction, who are working against belief, are fighting against or enlightening the people, give information about how it would be correct to live and to think and act and to protect nature, to be responsible for the future, for our descendants and so on. Yeah.
One of Billy's concerns over the longest time has been overpopulation, and in the letter he sent to all the governments, I think it was 1954, he suggested a 7-year moratorium on birth, and I've always been wondering how could that be achieved, and of course it cannot be achieved, and other means may have to be found, and I find it very interesting that the number that was mentioned, that the Earth can only support 500 million people, that number was also picked up by a group of people who erected a monument in Georgia called the Guidestones, where they inscribed the 500 million number. And then you have the people that are in the government in various important positions, like George Walker Bush, Rockefeller, Kissinger, Prince Philip, who have all said we have too many people on the earth and we have to find ways to eliminate them. And I find it interesting that what is called the deep state in the United States are really pushing for the next war. So will this be the solution?
No, also it's never a solution to kill people, to have less population. That's never a humane solution. The only humane solution is to prevent babies to be procreated. If an ovum is not fertilized or fertilized before the 21st day, and abortion is, that's the one and only method of decreasing the population is to prevent or to decide, no, I will have just one child, not more, or a worldwide measure, decision by all countries to follow this 7 years birthday check. And I wrote an article about how this could be made feasible, this 7 year, and an article, it's on our website, it's in German, I think it's also, on the Canadian website, An End to the Taboo, it's called, and there I explain a system that you see if you have 7 years no child at all, it gives huge problems. You don't have to close the schools, teachers, everything. And so if you could say, for instance, families with the beginning name A to D have this year possibility to have a child, or something like this. So every year children are born, but all this 7 year cycle is followed, then it would be feasible, but we know it's not possible because the population is not ready.
It will have to be enforced, and to have it enforced, we need a world government, don't we?
Yeah, but we don't have a world government because people are not ready for this. We have power-hungry, warmongering people at the heads of the states. And these should not have a world government led by these psychopaths. And so no, that would be not a good idea. So we have to face reality and see. In Switzerland, for instance, it's the only democracy on this planet. It's a half democracy. You would have to bring the population, all of them, or the majority of them, to accept FIGU's teaching, and then to realize it, and then. But it's only Switzerland. Switzerland, if is decreasing the population. Actually, we have immigration, and so there is no decrease. Now, if only there will be no immigrants coming to Switzerland, our population is already declining. It's in numbers, and Germany also, and Italy, because the population, the women in the birth, in the age where they can have birth, is below the 1.1, 2.1 factor. So, yeah. No, also killing, but it's you could I could bet if I would like to, there will be quite brutal measures coming sometime in the future. And that Billy had 3 times had a vision. I don't know if you know about it. He had a vision that the whole populations, there are plans to kill entire populations by some viruses or bacteria that will attack certain types of genetic structure in people. There are already research going on, so you could change the bacteria to attack certain, because all the races, the populations on this planet have different genetic outlook, characteristics, and then if you develop viruses or bacteria which attack exactly these variations, then you can kill whole countries. If you, for instance, if you take a virus that only attacks the Chinese population, because they have some different genetic parts, because they look different than I look here. So if you can attack them somehow, research is going on, then. But this, of course, this is very secretly going on. And this is a possibility that we must have in our background, and so we have to. So it makes sense to watch science information, what's going on in science, and so what could be the possibilities that they have achieved, and so it's to have an open mind. It's important. Chances are rather high that the killing will go into this direction sometime in the future.
Will it be in our lifetime?
I don't think, no. But you're next. So that's the after me the deluge. After me the flood. No, doesn't work. That's also a very important factor. If people would understand that their next personality has to come in a wasted or damaged planet, would give another perspective for leading their life this time. Yeah.
Just commenting on that, there's a belief that there's overpopulation and people have been exterminated. Wouldn't it be easier with all the empty planets in the universe to just develop the rockets to immigrate to another planet and make that habitable instead of fighting over this one planet? There's so many empty planets there, there's no need to develop in the laboratories a way to exterminate the Chinese, exterminate another group, just because there's so many planets that if anyone wanted to develop anything, they should really spend their time developing a way to integrate another planet and
It's just mentioning something, you know, I missed.
No, but the idea of, like, for example, there are a lot of viruses like AIDS was supposedly developed in the lab, the influenza, which is
Last two world wars eliminated many more people.
no, but it's a dangerous viewpoint to perpetuate that this is a overpopulated planet and you have to find a way to exterminate the dinosaurs, for example. No, there are so many empty planets that if they're not going to develop their technology to integrate another planet, but it is more feasible than advocating that you have to decrease population by extermination. I think
But it's not being advocated.
Yeah, but you have to know before you can leave this planet. There's a lot of work to do, and then you have to find planets that enable populations to live, and there are not so many. And then you have to develop time travel, because these planets are so far away that you have to use time travel faster than light speed. And what would be, of course, would not be positive is in our state here, if our population goes out, the same bad things are happening. Overpopulation will, on the next, you have all the same problems. You have war, because our population here on this planet is warlike. At least the people in the governments, all these psychopaths in the higher offices all over the world, like the military, the secret organizations. First, we have to become a peaceful population on this planet, have no war, and then we will go out. And actually, it looks like the time when we can leave this solar system will come when we are less warmongering on this planet, and when our population has decreased considerably. And of course, 529 million is the ideal number, but it would be a great relief already if there were 2 billion only. If 2 billion only human beings would live on this planet. And if we would start now with this decrease, with these measures about prohibiting birth, or only allowing birth under certain conditions, this would lead over hundreds of years because of the generations. And so this is anyway, the big ship cannot be stopped in a second when it goes over the ocean. And so we are already too near the iceberg to stop just a millimeter before you hit it. There will be crashes on, and the longer nothing is done against the problematic against these problems, the bigger the devastation will be.
Yeah. I think there is a basic misunderstanding possibly. See, Billy does not. That's okay. Billy doesn't promote the eradication of people through poisoning. This is something, or genetic manipulation. This is not what is being proposed. I think you might have misunderstood what Christian was talking about. What Christian is talking about is what Billy proposes is that the only humane way to bring our population in balance is through birth control. And
yes, birth control.
Not through genetic manipulation and causing viruses and people to die.
This is what he saw, that the scientists.
Three visions. He had 3 visions just in a row, in a short time. 3 visions about the future, like this unfolding with such outrageous measures, and so it's a warning. It's actually a warning. It's a vision. It's not a prediction. He didn't say it's a prediction, but it's possible if you look at the genetic modifications and everything that's done already with already also with birth genetic interference with the fertilized ovums and everything, with birth enhancement and AIDS, and so AIDS as a help. It's going into this direction. It's, for me, it's not impossible that this will happen. And so it must be understood as a warning, So people who have heard this may take action. And if scientists know this vision, perhaps they, in their field where they work, they can try to stop these manipulations and bring them to public. So this is intended as a warning.
Yeah, I was just going to help my sister, because she's into this. I mean, it's not easy just having that solution to this transport on another planet, because like culture is contagious, right? So who's not to say that they go there and then they start overpopulating, and they'll just keep overpopulating all over the world. I personally, I think there should be like before one can have babies, there should be, I think, a license before you can do that. So that you're mentally, physically, financially prepared to take care of a human being, from birth up to when they hopefully will have a chance to, grow their mind and consciousness.
You have to learn, if you want to drive a car, you have to learn, have a license, but this is easy, driving actually, there some people have problems, they have to repeat the examination and so, but the most difficult, the most requiring or forwarding, the most difficult or most future-orientated task is educate children and guarantee that they may start with a life that they can develop and realize self-responsibility to stand on their own feet when they are beyond teenager age. That's it's a very difficult task, and people think, oh, it's the birth. An alcoholic doesn't matter. Each person has the right to put as many children into life, even if they have to sleep on the street, if they are addicted to drugs when they are born, and if they are neglected, they are beaten, and they are mutilated, and all this. This is actually the crucial part why everything goes down to the drain, because the parents are not schooled, are not educated. They are just repeating the faults and mistakes from their parents. They are on their own. They have never learned. It's this kind of. It's actually a teacher. A teacher has to study. A school teacher has to study for years to teach to children. If he doesn't have a license, he may not teach. But all adults and teenagers have the right to produce babies. And this is it's not right. It's not correct, and this should be all changed. Actually, it would be logical and intelligent to have courses, and all the people this must start at a young age already, as I said. Children must realize, so in this way you produce babies, and babies have these development stages, and dying, all life is dying, and you should not hide everything every thought of dying, say, "Oh, my child, I must protect it from this thought." It's a reality. Everything must die. Every animal must die. Everything is perishable. Yeah. And so this, there must be a learning phase from birth. You must talk correctly with your small child, because you must not speak with it, look at the child as a stupid being. And so it must start from after birth. You have to speak with the child intelligently, but you can, of course, you can use cozy names, and so that's okay. But children must be prepared on life, the coming, what they have in front, so that they may, as I said, they have the chance to being brought up without drugs, without alcohol, to use their talents. If they are not good at mathematics, they have other strengths, and then these are enforced, and people should be able to build up optimism, build up thinking of real awareness of their strengths, and should build up on these and be realizing that they are part of nature and of the planet, and that they are a part of humankind. And it's endless, actually. It's a huge task. You know?
Can you ask what the other two visions were?
3 times the same.
Of the same vision.
Not just once. And he had quite a number of visions. He had visions also that he was shot at several times. I think 3 times he had a dream that someone would shoot him here into the breast, and so he heeded this, because he knew he has some warnings, because he's very sensible to these kinds of warnings. And so he was able to put the metal plate here on his breast, and then really he was shot at through his notebook in the pocket, and then on this metal, and so he survived, because he had listened to his visions, and this was not just once.
Dream form, or is it in a meditative state, or when you say visions, is it coming through a dream form?
A vision, he didn't specify in what situation. It just came into his mind as a vision. He has had visions, already many visions, because his consciousness is quite sensitive to external impulses. Mm-hmm.
Like how many assassination attempts to date?
23.
23.
Yeah.
Don't they still put out leaderships, and they also patrol around there to try to protect?
No, telemetries don't protect. There are some. Nearly all of these he was capable of surviving, because he was sensing. He had developed this in his youth because if someone wants to shoot him, this person is thinking and is sending out waveforms. And obviously, he was able to sense, and so in the moment when the other shot, he had a tearing here in his back, and so he moved. Sometimes it was like this, and sometimes once he was prepared with this metal plate, because he dreamed it about 3 times in advance. So this was but once he wasn't prepared, so he was lucky. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Billy made many predictions, and we always feel we learn about them after the fact, after time has passed, when we hear that these are the predictions. But he did say that there would be 2 civil wars in the United States coming up.
The possibility of civil war starting sometimes after 2020. Yeah, on earthquakes and so, but many of these predictions are more into the future, and some were prophecies. He prophesied that the Pope will be killed, and he was shot at. This was, but since it was there was a movement that prevented that the Pope was killed directly into the heart, I think, and so he missed it. But it happened, but not quite 100%. What was not 100% successful, but most of the predictions, or the many predictions, are yet to be realized. Will come, like the Portland earthquake there. So, yeah. In Portland, there will a huge tsunami will occur in the Portland, Vancouver region, out in the sea below. There will be an earthquake of at least 9 point on the Richter scale. That's then really heavy. And then a huge, yeah, I think it will not be too far. I don't think it will be too far into the future, because it's overdue, long overdue, this earthquake. I read an interesting article about this in the New Yorker last time when I was here in Canada. And yeah, there has been the same happened about 400 years ago in the same region. And now they found out that this has been happened. It was a tsunami that both Japan and the West Coast hit very badly, and so they found out now why there was a forest had died 300 or 400 years ago, and there were reports from the Native Americans about this incident, and there were people were vanishing in this huge tsunami. But it is known it's the Ring of Fire, the Pacific Ring of Fire goes around, and then of course there will be the San Francisco devastation will be, and I think Wendell Stevens wrote, and he said he saw that the cars had no side windows, and if this automatic car business goes on and on, they don't need a side mirror, and then could be then. And then there are still cars. It's not vehicle flying around, so it must be in the not too far future. Yeah.
So there will be 2 civil wars? Is that a prediction?
There was, if you look at politics now in the United States, there's also already beginnings of this. You have all kinds of populations against each other. There is so much hate and quarreling. You don't listen to good arguments, logical. If a Republican says this, it's bad anyway. It could be a good suggestion, and vice versa. There's much hate between huge groups of population. There are many weapons around, and so very many radical people. And then you have religion, and religion is also a fire in the gasoline, because religious people tend to, if you read the Old Testament, eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, and so this is deeply within people. Many people are thinking like this, like in Israel, for instance, in Palestine, they also are acting like this. They don't find out from this circulus viciosus, devil's circle. So if you are always remain caught in the revenge circle, then will be no progress. And so it very much looks that this will occur, perhaps not slowly. I don't think there will be. Then there's the war. It will be like everything, like terrorists. Terrorism on this planet is also development. And the chance is really here that this will occur. And perhaps it's still war is not exactly like armies. Perhaps not one army from the East Coast with an army from the West Coast. It's can be different. It seems vielleicht the Hispanics are driven out or killed, or racism. There is also still racism. It's between races. I don't know United States well enough, so I just realized that there is much hatred, much aggression going on underneath the patriotism. All the Americans, most are standing up and when they see the flag, but then that's the patriotism, and then below it's foul, I think.
But the same situation is in Europe.
And this has to do that the governments don't take serious the needs of the population. They are doing their own business up there. People don't have anything to say. In all the countries, you just elect figures into the governments, and then they do their business up there, and people haven't any say in anything what's going on. It's not actually the people is the sovereign. People should decide, and the government should execute what the people are saying. This is, except for Switzerland, this is nowhere happening. So this gives frustration. And if you see you have problems, everybody sees in his local with these immigrants. Merkel decided on herself against the Verfassung. Constitution, against the Constitution, she decided to let in, without any control, these over a million people from another cultural background, and they, it was actually an act, ein Staatsstreich. It's an act of that was not correct, and she was not taken in a court for this. Yeah.
Yeah, on the radio I listened to, there was a kind of legal protection that most big countries will just break apart into smaller units to deal with. And as you were saying, you get too much bureaucracy. They don't need all that bureaucracy, you just need a smaller, manageable country. That's why the U.S. is going to do that fragmenting in Europe, glued it all together, and let's start to fall apart. You can't jerk a country around like Greece and people not observe that. It's like, what kind of scam are you running?
Actually, if the United States would withdraw all their military from everywhere on the world and take care of their own country to repair all their streets, and there are so many poor people in America, and so many dollars are spent for military, for interfering in other countries, and all these things. If they would really look for their own business, many problems in the world could be addressed, which is not the case, because underneath American interests are hindering, are preventing for good developments to occur.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You see how many countries you have military from the United States compared to Russia. If you compare this, where have they intervened? In how many countries compared to Russia? But the threat on this world is Russia, not United States. Everybody could see this, but the media doesn't want to see this.
I noticed that President Trump and Putin put an end to that Syrian war. So at the end of next week, Syria will be a country unto itself, and all those refugees can move back home.
This will be the solution: peace in Syria, and the refugees go back and build up their country. But all this mess started because England and the United States interfered in Iraq. And they have later destabilized Libya. They have removed the government because there was some order. Now it's a mess. The same happened in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and the same. They wanted to do the same with Syria, but then the Russians came in because they were legally asked for by Syria, and But of course, Assad's regime is a criminal regime. That's okay, of course, but that's another thing.
So I just had a more mundane question, but you were mentioning something about coffee. That it's many people drink coffee, so it might be interesting to find out about coffee.
Good news to all. Just recently, Ipta said coffee is healthy, but only real coffee, not tea coffee. That's very detrimental to health, because decaf, the process is done, and the green beans, the extraction is a very poisonous substance, and so you should not drink decaf, and you could take. I think this information will be in the contact block 16. Then you will find it. You can easily drink 6, 8, 9 cups of 1 deciliter a day, at over a day. And he also said that it's healthy. Coffee is healthy, and that if you cannot sleep, this is usually someone who drinks a lot of coffee. This has to do with your mind. But if someone is drinking coffee just once or twice, is a regular coffee drinker, then this can really happen, that you cannot sleep well or start sleeping well. But basically, coffee is a good product, and contrary to what is said by terrestrial, nourishing food experts, you can drink without any remorse and without bad conscience. So
what about beer?
there's no information. No, it's not healthy. It's not healthy. No. Actually, alcohol is not needed. The human being needs no alcohol. No. And beer has quite a number of alcohol and calories, and so you're getting a belly. And they said also that too much beer slows down your thinking process.
And now they also found glyphosate in the beer in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Did they say what in coffee specifically the properties are, or what health benefits there are
Caffeine.
in coffee?
Caffeine. There are quite a number of substances in coffee.
And what actual health benefits? Longevity, detoxification?
It can make your life a little bit longer. That's also information.
I'll drink more
But you should not. I don't have all the details in my memory because I don't drink coffee, and I don't think I'll start now drinking coffee. I don't like it except with sugar and cream. So, yeah.
I had another question about war. Billy said there were only 250 years without war in the history of humans.
The last 10,000 years.
10,000 years?
Yeah.
10,000 years. Thank you.
I have to start packing up, unfortunately. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
We are going to continue with going over to the red door, which is at 444 Spencer. Everybody's welcome. No reservations are made, so let's see how we can do. We have to be out of here by 4:30. 10 minutes. Thank you.